owner of the business is handling all of this risk, do you think there should be some sort of compensation for that risk? Because if there should not be, then why are you the person complaining? Why don't you have a business and run it the way you think it should be run? And then tell me how that's working for you. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for being here. Today, let's talk about the end result of a business owner and who gets to pay for all of the business's costs. The end of the line consumer is the one paying for all that stuff. So let's talk about a little bit why. Why is Mary Jo talking about this today? So in the state of North Dakota, we have Measure 4 on the ballot to alleviate property taxes. And then on top of that, I just saw a video that Trump is wanting to tax John Deere. He's going to tax more than John Deere. But if John Deere moves all of their manufacturing to Mexico, he wants to put a 200% tax on them to get it back into the country to pay for it. Because he is penalizing John Deere for moving and taking jobs out of the United States. Which, here's the thing. Like, I understand tariffs enough to be a little bit dangerous, but my brain automatically went to, then John Deere just marks up whatever they're selling by whatever percent they need to in order to sell that product and have the consumer pay. And so in both of these cases, our Measure 4, let me just back up a hair. Our Measure 4, somebody said, well, the no property taxes are going to, the farmers don't hardly pay any property taxes anyway. Consumers don't really pay, or, people that are homeowners don't really pay that much percentage of the overall amount of property tax. The majority of that property tax is being paid by commercial business owners, commercial buildings, commercial property. And so this person wants all the commercial people to still pay the property tax. And then everybody else can not pay property tax, right? And so this person was basically wanting to penalize the business owners because probably hates capitalism. Well, I responded, which I don't normally do. I normally just scroll. Honey, Linda, listen, Linda. If the business is taxed more, the business passes that off to the consumer. The person that owns the business does not go, oh, look, my property taxes went up, so therefore I am going to pay more in property taxes. That's just going to come out of my net earnings. That's just how that goes. I'm going to make less money. No, Linda. The property tax is going to get passed off to the consumer. Whoever owns that commercial property is going to increase rent. They're going to increase the product of their business. They're going to increase the service amount of their business to cover those business expenses. The business owner is not paying property tax out of their net profit. You're paying for their property tax. That is going into the cost of your goods or services. I do not understand why people do not understand this. I think that every single person on this planet should actually own a business. Even if it's a mock business, it doesn't matter. They should all own one so they understand how business works. A company does not go into business to lose money. They go into business to make money. So if we go back to what Trump said, and I didn't do a lot of research in this, so shame on me. But if John Deere is moving their stuff to Mexico, which if you listen to the Words and Numbers podcast, there are a lot of companies moving their stuff to Mexico. China has started plants in Mexico because that's where the workers are. That's where the cheaper labor is. So if John Deere is moving their stuff to Mexico, is John Deere keeping that profit Or is it allowing them to stop increasing the price of their goods? So is that lawnmower going to be less money? Is that tractor going to be less money? So if we put a tariff on product coming into the United States, the cost of that product is most likely going to go up. It's not political. I don't have some agenda here. It's looking at financially, what is a tariff doing? If you read economics in one lesson, it was a book written a bazillion years ago. If you read economics in one lesson, he talks in that book about how tariffs are not necessarily the answer. Because a tariff is A, wrecking a relationship with another country. We all hate China so badly that we're like, oh, well, that's great that we put a tariff on China. But then on the other side of it, we're all mad because the cost of everything we're buying went up. Well, why do you think that is? Because we have a tariff. Why do you think we're not getting access to things as easily? Because we have a tariff. Is there a better way to do that? I don't know. But I look at what's happening in the economy and go, is that the answer? In the long run, are we going to be better? Do we have those jobs in the US? If we're creating those jobs in the US and it's American made, that's absolutely fantastic. I love American made products because I can afford to buy them. The average consumer, can they afford to buy an American made product? Because if it's made here in the US, we have to pay more for labor, which means the end result of your product is more. The manufacturer is not going to take a smaller profit margin. They're still going to make as much as they want. If they take a smaller profit margin, that is going to be a 1 in a million company that is not trying to grow. They're not people will say, well, they're not as greedy. Okay, maybe they're not. But for how long can they do that? While income needs to rise. Their product is always going to have to go up because people always want to get paid more. I run a business. Now, I don't get to charge somebody more. Like my business is very different, right? But on the life insurance side of things, but let's just take the books, for example. If the cost of my book goes up to the point where it's costing me money to send that book out, then guess what? We have to charge more. We have to charge more. I actually take a hit on the net income of my book or for a while I was, because we were not charging people the true postage cost because postage is so unbelievably expensive to the point where I was like, okay, this is crazy. Like I'm going backwards in this scenario. So you can't be a business and live for very long if you continue to give away all your money. As much as that helped the consumer, it hurt the business owner and it hurt the business side of things. If we want to be here forever, then we need to look at that stuff. And of course, some people are going to say, well, they just don't need all that money because they have big homes and they have fancy cars and they have whatever. Okay, so the business owner has risk. They have a risk that they have employees to pay. They have insurance to pay. They have a building to pay for. They have liability risk. The owner of the business is handling all of this risk to make sure employees are paid. Do you think there should be some sort of compensation for that risk? Because if there should not be, then why are you, the person complaining, why don't you have a business and run it the way you think it should be run? And then tell me how that's working for you. Okay. I had an old employee who was absolutely entitled. She was irritated that I got a new vehicle. So she should have a raise because I got a new vehicle. First of all, let's look at the fact that her house was newer and nicer than mine at the time. But I had the risk. I took the risk of employing somebody. I took the risk of advertising. I took the risk of zero income, basically, For 5 years, I starved before this business actually started to take off. Should I take no rewards for those 5 years because she was not with me and didn't see that? That is extreme short-term thinking. That is not understanding how business works. Are tariffs actually the answer to something? Is no property tax an answer to what these people want? It's like higher gas taxes. It's like higher taxes in general. Who pays for those? The end consumer does. That is why the tax code is meant to be there for people that have businesses, people that have real estate. It is not meant to be taken advantage of. It is written that business owners get to take advantage of those things because they carry that risk. By Trump saying, we're going to have a 200% tariff, you really think John Deere is just going to eat that and take that hit? And if they take that hit, do they then have to stop production on something else? Do they then have to decrease people's pay in the United States? Do they have to give something else up for the company because they took a 200% tariff? So as much as we all want to celebrate this and say, hey, you take that, John Deere, because you're moving stuff out of the country, long term, is it really the right solution? Like, let's think about it. I don't care if it's John Deere. I don't care if it's Kellogg's. I don't care who it is. I just look at that and go, is that really a good thing? Do we have less of stuff to buy? Is it more costly? And everybody's struggling right now anyway with the cost of inflation. Companies can't give raises. People don't know why they can't give raises. I actually saw somebody talking about this online too. I have lived in this apartment building for 10 years and nothing has changed, yet my rent went up. Please tell me why. That is what somebody said on social media. Let me tell you why, Linda. Because of the fact that to have that lawn mowed, the cost of that went up. The cost of the fuel for the lawnmower went up. Property taxes went up, right? Electricity went up. Water prices went up. Nothing extra was done to your building because there probably wasn't enough profit margin to do so. So now, if I am a landlord, I'm only doing the bare necessities possibly because I may not be charging enough rent, or I don't want to make my rent go too high. So then I'm going to quit doing all these other things because you are the end consumer as the renter and you get to pay for all those costs. You don't have to do the labor of those things. You don't have to find people to fix your toilet. You don't have to go out and buy the new appliance, right? So you don't have the time involved, but you're still paying for that. What makes us think that we are never going to be the end consumer? I am the end consumer on a lot of stuff. I pay for all of it. When I bought flooring for our remodel, I forgot my checkbook when I went to pay. And the guy at the store said, "Oh, we accept credit card." You accept credit cards for $20,000 worth of flooring? Whoa, that's a huge fee. I said, "Am I going to have to pay a fee on that?" He said, "No." I said, "So what you're telling me is you already wrapped that 3.5% up when you billed me for the flooring?" I said, next time I'm not paying you cash. I'm going to get points on my credit card, or you're going to give me a 3% discount. Because if others think that they can't pay for a credit card, they can't use a credit card for a massive amount of flooring for a new build or a big remodel or whatever, they're like, "Oh man, I don't want to put that on a credit card because I don't want to pay the fees, but don't ask." He's already got it wrapped up in there. The end consumer paid for that ahead of time. He's no dummy. I mean, I figured it out and said, "Nah, next time I'm asking for a discount." But most people won't do that. They have no idea. They probably wouldn't have even thought anything about it. They'd have thought, this is what the majority of people would have thought. "Oh, he's going to eat the 3.5%? Wow, what a nice guy." No, he did not eat the 3.5%. He already built it in So anybody that paid cash, he just made another 3%. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What does that do? That allows him to go buy different kinds of things, pay his employees more. In this particular establishment, he has a massive amount of employees. It's not like walking into Lowe's and you can't find anybody because it's a graveyard in there. And then when you do find somebody, they don't know what's up or down, right? So think about that. Again, the tariff thing is just an example. I don't know necessarily that tariffs have been proven to be good or bad. I've read both sides of it. But by fining John Deere, they're not going to eat that. We are. By eliminating property taxes, we may not have rent go up as much on a commercial property, right? At the end of the day, I think even if you eliminate stuff like property taxes, they're just going to tax you on something else. They're going to get their money one way or another. So that's my 2 cents on that. And most people listening to this are going to understand that. I'm just preaching to the choir today because it's the thing to do, I guess. I don't know. You guys all obviously get that. But if one of you did not think that way or understand that, then success it is. Okay. Let me know if you have comments, questions, concerns. maryjo@withoutthebank.com. Email me. If you haven't got the book yet, go to withoutthebank.com, grab your book, schedule your appointment, and we'll talk then. All right, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day.